I heard a country and western songwriter interviewed on television. I was doing something else at the time, and I'm sorry to say I didn't catch his name. But he told the interviewer that he had written a song for young people called "There Is a Miracle in You." And I recall the words to the song began, "If anything at all in life is true, there is a miracle in you." Well, the next morning at breakfast, I told my son about the song and how impressed I'd been with the title and opening words. I told him that I believe the title is true.
Right,
there is a miracle in each of us, and our task is to find it.
Yeah, it's
and bring
literally,
it into
they
full
made
power
Hangman's
if we
Trick,
can.
like,
My son seemed
it
to
went
be as
from
impressed by the
useless
words
to
as I've
very,
been.
very good and very
We went on to
viable,
talk about
back
the
to garbage.
purpose of education
It was
and how
like
it's to help us find and develop the rich, lurking talents that lie dormant in each of us to help us find. The success of the human species to this point, at least, has been due to the fact that there are people who can meet the needs and answer the questions of society in time for it to avoid disaster or regression or a plateau. There are scientists hard at work solving difficult and threatening problems. These people, through the miracles within them, can do that kind of wonderful, mind-boggling work. There are the great physicians and surgeons, the inventors and technologists, and the young man who came to my office an hour or so ago to repair my typewriter. I was completely baffled. He solved the problem in 5 minutes. It's the same with our cars and other mechanical possessions. We need packaged foods and good nutrition, and there are people who are uniquely qualified to provide those things and enjoy doing it. We're now coming into a time during which we'll probably move much more quickly toward tremendous accomplishments and breakthroughs. We're faced with opportunities on every side, and we no longer need to work at something we really don't enjoy or for which we're ill-fitted if we'll take the time to give attention to finding the miracle, the super best way for our qualifications to be developed. There are many thousands of people working at jobs they dislike because they've overruled their natural inclinations, perhaps followed a well-meaning but off-base parent's advice, or taken the course of least resistance and followed the gang or a good friend. We know when we wake up in the morning whether or not we're in the right kind of work, and if we're not, we need to take Socrates' advice and examine ourselves. We need to get off by ourselves and think about it, and we need to talk to a good friend about it too. Quite often our friends can see us better than we can see ourselves. Fortunately, recent data have indicated that most people are quite happy in their work, or happy with the people with whom they work and the neighborhoods in which they live, and they don't desire a change. But I wonder how many have found the miracle. As the song goes, if anything at all in life is true, there is a miracle in you, and your job is to find it and to put it to work in your life. Got a book the other day with an interesting title. Indicated that most people are quite happy kind of work, and if we're not, we need to take Socrates' advice and examine ourselves. We need to get off by ourselves and think about it, and we need to talk to a good friend about it too. Quite often our friends can see us better than we can see ourselves. Fortunately, recent data have indicated people are happy in their work, or happy with the people with whom they work and the neighborhoods in which they live, and they don't desire a change. But I wonder how many have found the miracle. As the song goes, life is true. There is a miracle in you, and your job and to put it to work in your life. Got a book the other day with an interesting title. PhD. John Nesbitt, author of Megatrend, says, in a time of great change, we're most in need of creativity and innovation. Von Eck provides us with proven ways to release the creativity that's in... Got a book the other day with an interesting title. Got a book the 10 Common Blocks to Creative Thinking. It's about ways in which you can unlock your mind for innovation, for change, for more interest, even for a career change. Von Eck tells about a time when he was a sophomore in high school, when his English teacher put a small chalk dot on the blackboard. He put the end of the chalk against the blackboard and twisted it for a couple of seconds, leaving an irregularly shaped, roughly circular mark. Then he asked the class to tell him what it was. A few seconds passed, and then someone said, "It's a chalk dot on the blackboard." The rest of the class seemed relieved that the obvious had been stated, and no one else had anything more to say. "Well, I'm surprised at you," the teacher told the class. "I did the same exercise yesterday with a group of kindergartners, and they thought of 50 different things the chalk mark could be. An owl's eye, a cigar butt, the top, a squashed bug, a rotten egg, and so on. They really had their imaginations in high gear." In the 10-year period, Von Eck went on to say, between kindergarten and high school, not only had we learned how to find the right answer, we had also lost the ability to look for more than one right answer. We had learned how to be specific, but we had lost much of our imaginative power. As noted educator Neil Postman has remarked, children enter school as question marks and leave as periods. The key here is the importance of looking for more than one right answer. We're trained in school to look for one right answer to every problem, but the more creative person looks for many. The practice of looking for the one right answer, Von Eck reminds us, can have serious consequences on the way we think and confront problems. Most people don't like problems, and when they encounter them, they usually react by taking the first way out they can find. I can't overstate the danger in this. If you have only one idea, you have only one course of action open to you. And this is quite risky in a world where flexibility is a requirement for survival. Nothing is more dangerous than an idea when it's the only one you have. Looking beyond the first solution to a problem can result in a whole new set of serendipitous solutions 100 times better than the first one. It's nice to know that you have a gold mine between your ears that stands ready at any time to bail you out of your difficulties and turn dullness into bright new interest. Getting a sound idea is a thrill in itself. Then we add the ideas necessary to bring it to birth and then nurture it through the early days and watch it grow into full maturity. It's a thrill, all right. There's nothing like it. Over the years, those of us who have watched our creative ideas become large buildings employing hundreds of people and benefiting hundreds of thousands of happy customers have learned the real and lasting value, the joy of creative thinking. And it's good to remember that there's just as much opportunity hidden in our play as there is in our work. In fact, it's the truth. We drive our cars or walk by more opportunity every day than we could develop in a lifetime. I heard an interesting little story the other day that illustrates the importance of realizing that other people don't necessarily see things in the same way we do. A woman was Christmas shopping with a little boy in New York City. The place was jammed with rushing shoppers. It had been raining. She still had many things to do, and her young son was unhappy and complaining. While she was fighting the crowd through an aisle of a store, her son managed to convey to her that his shoe was untied and he was tripping on the lace. She put her packages on the counter and squatted down to tie his shoe. As she did so, she suddenly saw the picture from his level. He was too small to see the display cases with their beautiful, colorful items and lights. All he could see were legs, a wet and dirty floor, and big people charging at him from every direction. No wonder he was unhappy. There was nothing interesting or pleasant from his viewpoint. She picked him up and carried him while she finished her shopping and quickly headed for home. The story was told by my old friend Chris Haggerty, who said that when we're dealing with other people, we should understand, first of all, that each of them sees the world in a way unique to him or her. Second, we should appreciate and accept that fact. And third, we should empathize. That is, try to put ourselves in the other person's position. See the picture from his or her viewpoint, as with that little boy shopping. He also told the story of a board of directors meeting of a fast-growing catalog company. The company happened to have a toll-free number for ordering, and it was receiving an ever-increasing number of customer calls. Well, one of the directors was raising all kinds of noise about the poor service he was receiving from the company switchboard, how he was put on hold, and so on. One of the meeting suggested that the board take a short recess and follow him out of the boardroom. He wanted to show himself. He led them into the switchboard room, and then they stood silently and watched a harried, overworked operator trying to cope with the flood of calls on obsolete telephone equipment. Later in the boardroom, he reminded them that he had been trying to get an authorization for a more elaborate state-of-the-art telephone system and was such an operator for some time. After the situation was seen from the operator's standpoint, the problem was remedied. In dealing with children, especially, we need to try to view the situation from their very special viewpoint and try to imagine how we would feel if we had their limited experience and highly dependent situation. With the members of our family, neighbors, friends, co-workers, customers, developing an empathic attitude means listening. Really listening to what they're saying, trying to feel as they feel. This will enormously increase our satisfaction and enjoyment of living, and at the same time make us much more attractive as they recognize our sincere attempts to understand them and help them with meaningful solutions. Each of us needs a good, strong ego to cope successfully with our worlds, but we need empathy too. We need to get into the other person's shoes and see the world where he or she stands. Authored by Robert Levering, microcats. Those companies that pays what you take employees' needs as they do the company needs. Take the data report to Ohio, for example. Data makes axles, transmissions, clutches, and universal joints for cars and trucks, as well as a variety of valves, pumps, and motors. Industrial equipment. Rewriting the book on American management. The authors, many chaplains of functional management, organization charts, policy manuals, a large corporate, written reports and memos have fallen by the wayside at Dana. Instead of policy manuals, the company has just a one-page policy sheet which widely circulated within the company. Among its iconoclastic precepts are, we discourage conformity, uniformity, and centralization. We believe people should be involved in setting their own goals and judging their own performance. The people who know best how the job should be done are the ones doing it. We do not believe in company-wide procedures, and even that sheet of suggestions has been further reduced to just 40 thoughts. Some of the 40 thoughts are to make every employee a manager, to push responsibility down, to provide stability of income and employment, make all Dana people shareholders, simplify, use little paper, keep no files. By that it's meant that no files are kept from employees, communicate fully, let people set goals and track their performance. Discourage conformity, be professional, and help people grow. Number one on the list is to remember our purpose, to earn money for our shareholders and increase the value of their investment. Worldwide, the company employs 35,000 people. Dana encouraged employees to buy stock in the company. The authors say that for each 70 cents an employee puts up to buy Dana stock, the company contributes another 30 cents. About 2/3 of all Dana employees are stockholders. From scanning the book, it appears that the best place to work in the United States from an employee standpoint is the Ball Laboratories, the research and development arm of AT&T. There are about 3,000 employees in this division, 43,000 computer terminals. And as the authors of the 100 Worst Companies to Work For in America point out, it's certainly one of the most prestigious scientific organizations in the world. The authors award Bell Labs $4 for pay, 4 stars for benefits. The company, for example, picks up 100% of your medical and dental insurance premium for you and all your dependents. You can stock away up to 6% of your salary into a savings and investment plan, and for every dollar you put up, Bell will put up 67 cents. Bell Lab gets 3 stars for job security, 3 stars for the chance to move up, and 5 stars for ambience, which means the surroundings in which the people work, the mood of the place, the quality of the environment. It's refreshing indeed to see more and more companies become people-oriented as well as product-oriented. frequently hear them say, "I waited too long to start living." When researchers or others hear this kind of response are young, they find it strange. But what these older people mean is that they often fail to enjoy life even during the years that they were living it most fully. It seems that most people during World War II, forest years of their lives, are to develop an awareness of living and enjoyment of living. It's like the person puts the best china and silver from future time over time and dies which will be used. Or it's like the person who puts the clovers in his car and goes past to the second person to buy it or upholstery that he himself never enjoyed. And so many people with the miracle of sight never really see the world about them until it's practically too late. Millions with the inborn capacity to love and to know the joy that loving brings wait too long to exploit it. They live through the passion without really being aware of their pain, of the riches that are passing through their hands. Few people, it seems, develop an awareness of daily living in perspective of the miracle of life. They pass through their days like automatons, in possession of the greatest gift on earth, life itself. Tell us by their actions that they don't even know they have it, and haven't the slightest conception of its value, let alone the awareness that is to be enjoyed to the fullest every day. I would believe an account of a famous show business personality, a woman of great talent, who made the announcement of her impending fifth marriage said, "After all these years, I'm finally going to be happy." She thought another husband could somehow give her something she should have been ignoring all along. She obviously had no idea as to what happiness is, where it's to be found, or what living is all about. And she belongs to a big club. It's only when life is threatened that a conception of its value begins to dawn on the average person. American plotted a kidnapping for months. His mind was filled with the thought of the $1 million ransom he was going to get. More important to him, he thought at the time, than anything else on earth. Yet when he was surprised by the police, he dropped the suitcase containing the ransom and ran for dear life. Ran for dear life. It took the sudden threat of death to put things in the proper order for this poor, stupid person. It's amazing, isn't it, how few people feel it bored. Most people place their greatest value on the cheapest thing in life, while the greatest of all, life itself, goes unnoticed. The most fortunate people in the world are those who have the wisdom to place value where it belongs, those who have the awareness of life. A family of our acquaintance owned a beautiful female German shepherd. Suddenly this family found itself no longer have 5 beautiful active puppies. Though the puppies could not lay claim to a pedigree, attesting to the purity of their bloodline, they were nonetheless
Thanks very much, Ronald. Have you been hearing me in the back there? See the slides? We all have copies of all of the slides I'm going to show, plus some additional material. And we have quite a bit of material to cover in the next hour. I think I prepared a 2-hour presentation that we have to squeeze into an hour, and I'd also like to leave some questions, time for questions in the end. I have people already said they have a bunch of questions to ask me, and I'd like to leave some room at the end for questions, so we'll hurry right along here. Topic of my talk this morning is data models and business strategy, and it's really a two-part talk. And what I'd like to cover is in the first part to talk about data models in the context of business planning, business strategy, and strategic systems planning, which is a lot of the work that I do. And I think if we go through some of that material, my purpose is to convince you that that leads to some requirements on the data model, and in particular the data modeling methodology and how you approach data modeling that perhaps suggests that some of the traditional approaches that you're familiar with, probably, in doing data modeling, perhaps need to be improved, and that there are alternative ways to approach data modeling and alternative techniques. And in the second part of the talk, I hope to introduce you to a technique that we use and convince you at least that there are, number one, alternative ways to doing things and some different aspects of data modeling that perhaps you hadn't thought about before. And if we achieve those objectives, I'll be happy, and you'll have learned something, and hopefully you can ask a lot of questions, and maybe I'll learn something from that as well. So here we go. As I said, the context I'd like to talk about data modeling in is in the strategic systems planning context, and you've all read a lot about that, and that's kind of a hot topic in MIS circles about how to use systems to achieve business advantage. And really the question that is addressed in that topic is, how can we leverage our investment in information systems and information technology to get the most out of it? And that is the objective of a strategic level information systems planning study. And there are a lot of methodologies around, a lot of techniques for going about such a study, and they have some similar characteristics. The one that we happen to use more or less follows this outline. Starts with an understanding of the organization's business objectives, not systems objectives, but business objectives. And many people who are embarking on a strategic systems planning study stop right there because their organization or enterprise does not have a set of well-articulated business objectives or a business strategy. And however, in many instances, that does not prevent the MIS department from launching a big study and going and spending a lot of money and doing things.
Nonetheless, really to do it right, you need the senior management of the organization to be able to declare what are we trying to do in this organization, because what we try and do is resources and the investment in MIS resources to support those business objectives. You see that? Here, working from the business objectives to the data model and process model. And again, in most modern methodologies, there is some modeling done at the planning level. And there's a number of advantages to doing a model at the planning level. I'll come back to those in a minute. In our methodology, we use those data models and process models very rigorously in a particular manner in order to identify information system opportunities. And these are ways to use the information technology in order to support the business objectives. That is the measure we use for prioritizing information technology opportunities. Another step deals with developing what we call architecture and infrastructure. And these are all the underlying necessary prerequisites for building systems. And I want to talk about that in a minute. Using both the opportunities and the architecture leads to the systems plan, which is what we're after, which is a set of projects, costs, benefits, and resources.
The evolving business direction. That can describe the evolving business direction. Now, what do I mean by an information concept? I'm particularly using a word here that we haven't, it's not an official word and it's not a definition.
Got a book the other day with an interesting title. Got a book the other day with an interesting. We need to take PhD. John Nesbitt also megatrends is in a time of great change where most in need of creativity. PhD. John Nesbitt
leads you in two completely different directions, and that is the thing that the information is about. And it's very easy to convince a user or anyone that information is always about something. If we just told you the number 10, that's no information. If we said 10 is the number of years of age of someone, now you have something. You see, it's always about something. And the things that the information is about, those are the information concepts. And the interesting thing is, if you think about it, that's no information. If we said 10 is the number of years of age, that's no information. And the things that the information is about, that's no information. Leads you in two complete. And the things that the information is about, those are the information. That's no information. Leads you in two completely different directions for systems development. How much profit have we made? Or conversely, how much loss have we taken? If we want to take an order for a product, well, in the idea of how much profit we have made, that's information about things, about the company, it's about profitability, about accounts, and so forth. They can order for a product, just to talk about the concept of order taking in products, we have to have the concepts of what is an order and what is a product. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking the things that the information is about, the information concepts of what is a bank account. The interesting thing is that the bank account is, and the things that the information is, and that's no information. If we said 10 is the number of accounts of age of someone, now you have something. It's always about just to talk about. That's no information. It says 10, which customers of years of age or someone. Some of these questions, it's always about customers. Some profitable is one that's no information. It says 10, and the number of years. But just to ask someone, now you have something. It's always about something. It's customer. What is a customer? Now, all that may seem very straightforward, but let me present three interesting observations about those information concepts. See that they're independent of the physicist. Information isn't just to run the business. Right? That's no information. I should say 10. That is the number of years concepts come from someone. Now you have something. It's always about something. That's no information. If we said 10 is the number of years of age of someone, now you have something. You see, it's always about something. That's no information. If we said 10 is the number of years of age of someone, now you have something. You see, it's always about something. That's no information. If we said 10 is the number of years of age of someone, now you have something. You see, it's always about something. Leads you in two completely different directions for systems development. The idea here is leads you in two completely different directions for systems development. The idea here is leads you in two completely different directions for systems development. Checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of about accounts and so forth. I can order for a product. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of what is a bank account. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of of what is a bank. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of what is a bank. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of what is a bank. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of what is a bank. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have the information concept of what is a bank. Same kinds of thing. Whatever industry you're in, insurance industry, checking my bank account balance, I have to have, even if we could foresee the technology, you'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed in the past 100 years, and some of them have changed fairly dramatically in the last 5 or 10. Just look at deregulation, for example. And in fact, in the information models that I have built, the most dramatic kind of change required in order to satisfy the organization's strategic systems plans, the most dramatic kind of change required, which are undergoing, and the things that leads you in two completely different directions. Like in order for a product, just to talk about deregulation, as I mentioned, or some other kind of structural industry change which is forcing it. Didn't have competitors before. Many organizations didn't have competitors before. That doesn't mean that organizations quickly recognize this and say, hey, we need to have some new information concepts. What I'm challenging you is saying, in your role as the data modeler, that is your job, to lead the organization to the recognition of what are the right future data concepts around which we should be building our databases and the infrastructure of our databases, not how they were before. One further observation here. It's very interesting that computer systems, at least as we build them today, tend to freeze these information concepts. So if we thought we knew what an order was 5 years ago, and we made a very nice, concise definition of that, in our data dictionary, and got all the users to agree with that whole process, and we built systems that are based on that definition of what an order is, or customer, employee, what have you. Interesting thing is that process has an effect of actually freezing that information concept in time. It's now very expensive to change that. So here we have computers, the mechanisms of change in the organization, actually freezing the data concepts. I don't have a solution to that, but it's an interesting sidelight. Anyway, the idea is, here we are today with concepts of products and orders and policies, accounts, customers, whatever. The question is not what those are. It's not to go out and document in great detail every single data element that we have now. That's not a very useful exercise. The question is, where do we want to be in the future? What are these concepts that we need to have in the future in order to meet the business needs? The test here is, say, here are the concepts we have now. Here are the concepts we need in the future and what they mean. And here's why those concepts, point by point, very specifically, here's why those information concepts are better able to meet our business objectives. Here's exactly why. And to give that speech to the senior management of the company and have them understand it. That's the major contribution that a data modeler can make. That's your challenge. Here I've made a list, again, as I mentioned before. Many of these are drawn from, as you'll see, the pattern. Many of these are drawn from organizations, kinds of organizations that are undergoing some kind of industry or structural change. The banking industry and other industries that that actually are in the information business in a way, you know.
Because the Cancer is ruled by the very sign that is in the eclipse. In other words, the moon is in Cancer, and it rules Cancer, so we don't have any other planet to look at. When we work with a new moon, a full moon, or any eclipse, solar or lunar, we must look at the ruler of that eclipse to find out what it is doing. When you have a lunar eclipse, we have 2 in Cancer. We can't look at anything else. We have to go right back to the moon. This makes it more emotional and more family-oriented and more problems with family members. So it tends to upset home condition, family condition, and it creates emotional turmoil. When we have one here in 14 in Capricorn, this one is devastating. I expect President Reagan to go before the end of this year. I'll tell you why. We have this one's in 14 in Capricorn, this lunar eclipse on July 6, 1982. It squares its ruler, Saturn, at the time. Anytime a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, a new moon, or a full moon squares its ruler, you've got double the connotation. This holds true for transiting moon. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the moon will be in Capricorn, and it's going to square Saturn, its ruler. You're going to get a good taste of what I'm telling you. Because not only will it square Saturn, but it's going to square Saturn that was conjunct by the new moon. So this weekend, we're all going to be a little bit depressed or have some delay or restriction in some kind of project we're going to want to do, depending on where Capricorn is in your chart and where Saturn is transiting through your chart. That's going to be this weekend. Unfortunately, Mars is going to conjunct Neptune at the time. So that one's unfortunately the Capricorn. That's not a good one either because it squared Saturn at the time. Now this one's in 27 in Cancer. The solar eclipse on July 20th, 1982 was in 27 in Cancer. Now we don't can't go look for the rulers. The ruler is right back there in Cancer. So we have one solar eclipse and 2 lunar eclipses all in Cancer, which means the general public is going to be affected. This is why we are all depressed. We are under state of depression. Interest rates are high, jobs are low. Because all these lunar eclipses are in Cancer and they affect the general public. They affect older women, our health.
You know the thing that I don't like about being Diamond? You know what they never tell you on the tape? You know what they don't tell you till it's too late, till you've qualified as Diamond, then you find out. You get fancy cars, you get big house, you don't get to sleep or eat. Those 2 things. I'm hungry. Where are we going to eat tonight? What's open? Have you found out a place that's open, or are you just going to go out? You don't plan, then you're planning to fail. We'll get there, it'll be closed. Who's got somebody planned where we're going? Get organized, all right? We'll put you in charge, okay? Go reserve a table. Hey, tell them 6,000 people. How many are going to eat tonight? All right, wait, let's count this. Don't talk, let him count. Turn around and count. All right. You got it? Don't be off. You get there and the waitress says, you said 5,412. but there's 5,414. Now you're going to have to wait. Pizza. All right. Hey. All right, don't cut into my time, all right? Would you like a pizza speech tonight? All right. Now listen up. This is very serious. Listen carefully. I'm going to give this one time. They're not going to make a tape of this. I wonder why. So this is the only time you'll... Hey! All right, don't cut into my time, all right? Would you like a pizza speech tonight? Would you like a pizza speech tonight? Now listen up. This is very serious. Listen carefully. I'm going to give this one time. They're not going to make a tape of this. I wonder why. So this is the only time you'll ever hear this. You won't get to ride along in the car with me inside that little black box. I'm tired of being in that little black box. I want to be outside of there. Those of you who are listening to this on tape right now while you're driving along in a car, you just think I live inside those little boxes where you stick me with your tapes. I'm a real person. I'm tired of this abuse. These are real people in here with me. So, you think you can just stick us in your glove compartment like that? We're real people. We have feelings, too. So, take us out and put in Dennis Wakely. I'm scared. Any minute now. All right, so let's... I'm going to speak on the 3 S's in success. The 3 S's in success. You don't listen to your speakers. What are you paying the money to come here for? The 3 S's in success. The 3 S's in success. I believe that. All right, I'm just checking you out. 3 S's in success, and I'm going to speak on the 3 S's in success. And the first S in success stands for... Quit guessing. See yourself successful. Are you disappointed? You have to see yourself successful. Would you like a pizza speech tonight? You know that. Oh, you don't do that. How do I know that? Because I don't do that. That's tough. The toughest part of success is the first step, to visualize it, to see it. See yourself successful. Let me ask you something. You may say that the reason you aren't successful is because of some handicap or some circumstance or some person or customers or the company or product, or you can blame whatever you want and you can say, that's why I'm not successful. So why don't you see yourself successful? Nobody's keeping you from seeing yourself successful. No customer stops you from picturing it. Why don't you see it? Now, the first time you ever heard Norman Vincent's spiel, you heard him talk about you have to visualize the first time. Would you like a pizza speech tonight? Would you like a pizza speech tonight? Now, the first time you ever heard Norman, we instinctively know that to be successful, we must first dream or picture or see it. We know that's true. Well, if we know it's true and it doesn't cost anything, why don't we do it? Why don't you picture yourself as diamond? Why can't you see it? Why don't you know how it's going to happen? Who the legs are and who the people are and when the date is. Why can't you see it? Why don't we practice that? We do it negatively. You hear me talk about that on the tape? Talk about how you anticipate an IRS audit, or you anticipate a heart attack, and you fear it, and you think about it, and you rehearse it in your mind, and you're prepared for it, but we aren't prepared to succeed because we don't visualize success or think about it. There are two reasons why we don't do that. There may be 476 reasons, but you get two tonight. Two reasons. What? Down in front. All right. Quiet. One reason is guilt. Authority. Is guilt. Guilt and inferiority. That's why we don't picture. We don't picture because either inferiority, it'll never happen, it won't work, I can't do it anyway. Waste of time to even fantasize success. And the other one is guilt. I don't deserve it, it's immoral, it's wrong. There's just so much room, can't take a bigger piece of pie than somebody else. Liberation theology that's so popular now, wherever our guilt comes from. Guilt and inferiority. I got one tape where I call it the GI Blues. Guilt and inferiority. One of my favorite stories is the story of Joseph. And in the story of Joseph, they call him a dreamer because he has these dreams that he believes in. He's not a dreamer because he believes, because he has dreams. He's a dreamer because he believes in his dreams. That makes him a dreamer. There's something special about his dreams. What was Joseph's dreams? Joseph looked into the sky and he saw the stars and the sun and the moon, and the stars bowed down to him, the sun and the moon bowed down to him. Joseph looked over there and saw the most wonderful dream. The stars bowed down to him, the sun and the moon bowed down to him. What does it mean, they asked? What does it mean? Obviously, it means that my brothers and my mother and my father and some way are going to respect me and honor me and revere me and give me some grace. That's what it means. Well, his brothers were impressed with this dream. Either he was his mother and father. Everybody has those kinds of dreams. You know what Joseph's dream was? It was the recognition of fears. That was his dream. We had that dream. We had a whole mountain on the bottom of the mountain with 2 outs. With 2 strikes on you, 4 outs. Bases loaded, 7 games in the World Series. You were all that. Everybody has the same kind of dreams. And one of the basic psychological necessities of life is the recognition of fears. Ultimately, you want the recognition of your fears. Doctors are sometimes more concerned with what the doctors think than what the layman thinks. Lawyers are very impressed with what the writers say. Politicians, what the politicians say. Musicians, what the musicians and the critics say. We want ultimately, we want the recognition of our peers and ultimately our own family. So Joseph should not have an unusual dream. Joseph's brothers dreamed the same thing. Joseph's brothers looked at the sky and the stars bowed down and the sun and the moon bowed down. But Joseph's brothers rejected the dream. Either in inferiority or they rejected it and said, let him have it, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to do it, get yourself killed, go back to sleep. Or else they rejected it in guilt. How dare you think about going down when half the world is starving to death? How dare you concoct schemes of personal prestige when people are starving? You big ego tripper. Even Joseph's father was obsessed with the values. And Joseph's father said, what do you want? Your mother may have bowed down and worship you or something. I don't understand you, Joseph. What's the deal here? But Joseph believed that his dream was real. He's going to do some great thing when his dream was a sign from God. And Joseph believed that his dream was right. Now we all know what happened to Joseph. He fed the world. He fed the starving world. Somebody's got to have dreams. Somebody's got to do something. We all starve to death if we sat around in our self-pity and inferior or guilt. Somebody's got to get up for a living and go out there and make things happen. The way you started is to see it. It's to picture it. It's to look up there and see the stars. And see what you can do. Why does God give us dreams? Some people think that God gives us dreams to tempt us, to see if we'll fall for it and do some great thing with our life and waste it. Greatness. Some people think that God gives dreams to torment us, to show us how free and low we really are, and how big things could be. The reason God gives us dreams is not to tempt us or to torment us. God gives you dreams to follow. Follow your dreams. They're signs from God. They're His messages to you. Did you enjoy the Olympics? Did you listen to the Olympics every night? Even every night? Well, you should have been glad you have. Should have videotape recorded it, but we'll watch it later. It's picked up the Japanese transmission of the satellite dish. Evelyn Ashford, that beautiful black girl with the braids, you know, all the enthusiastic of the Olympics. World's fastest woman. Did she see herself successful? Huh? I think you need to know that. Well, are you ready, huh? Let's go. Let's go. Everybody knows that. Wait. I have a line that will make you flip out. This will make you weep and cry. Draw on the line. You don't know that? Anyway. So, she won. She's up there. She's on top of the world. She gets the gold medal. Picture of her life. Of course, every time the sun rose, she was winning in the Olympics. Her mother said she was winning the Olympics from the time she was a little girl. From the time she was a little girl, even. And she would run and would be told that she got pillows as a child. So forget the Evelyn Ashford story, all right? Forget that story. The second act in success is start. You gotta overcome an issue. You gotta get going. You gotta get up to your end and get moving. You gotta begin. Somehow you gotta begin move and how to find a relationship and begin that relationship. Trouble any kind of difficult answer that's going in the center of the world is the beginning of that difficult. The hardest part of building any kind of career, the toughest part is the beginning. You want to end where it's right, end where it's right, buddy. What is that thing that is pretty much here and you want to just have to reach me? What is that? Space shuttle! And it was like the space shuttle. You know what the space shuttle looks like? If you see it when they take it off, there's this great big thing like this in the middle, and then there's these little sticks on the side like this. There's a stick over there. But then there's another stick over there. And then the space shuttle is out in front like this. Just hang on there like that. What's this great big thing in the middle? It's a fuel tank. That great big silo in the middle is a fuel tank. And 80% of the fuel in that space shuttle is expended on the launching pad. Incredible. True. 80% of the fuel is expended while that heavy equipment just hovers out on the launching pad. And the other 20% just gets thrown out into space and brings it back again. That's what the railway business is like. The toughest part is to get started. You'll spend 80% of your energy just getting off the launching pad.
Many of you have been in Amway for months and months. You can be in this business for years without literally getting off the launching pad. But baby, when you get off, it's the 20% that takes you out there in outer space and back. Beginning is always the toughest part. Let me tell you a real quick story. Let me tell you a real quick story. You want to tell you the story of Gideon? Have you ever heard me tell the story of Gideon? Gideon had tremendous inferiority. You know, I was talking about see yourself successful, but some people can't see themselves successful because of their great inferiority complexes or guilt. Gideon had an inferiority complex. He couldn't see himself successful. And we looked in the mirror, he didn't see anything. Zero, nothing. But God sent an angel to Gideon. And when God sent this angel to Gideon, and let me, this is background. This is weird, but this is true. This is right there. It's in the Bible. You can read it. The Israeli people had an inferiority complex at their time in their history, and you will know there was a good reason why. So the Midianites just suppressed them for 7 years. They were destroying them, ravaging them, and hauling off their young people as slaves, and murdering the elderly, and poisoning their wells, and burning their crops. So the whole nation had an inferiority complex, but Gideon said that of all the tribes in Israel, his was the least. I figured that out. And Gideon said that of all the families in the tribe, his was the least. And of all the members of the family, he was the least. That's a bona fide inferiority complex. So God sent an angel to Gideon. And when the angel greeted Gideon, he gave him the greeting of a conqueror. He said, Hail, thou mighty man of valor. God is with you. God saw something even Gideon couldn't see. And God called him a mighty man of valor. Listen, I was talking about seeing yourself successful. You have an opportunity in this business to not only see yourself successful, but you've got an opportunity to do something that very few businesses will give you the opportunity to do. And very few moments in life will you have the opportunity outside your own immediate family to do this. You can see somebody else successful too. You can be an angel to your distributors. Quit clapping, all right. I'm trying to hurry up. You can see your distributors as diamonds. If you can picture it for them, you might be able to help them over their inferiority or their guilt. If they can't get out of it by themselves, if they've been too hurt by life and they can't find a way out, you can see them out. You can picture success for them. And start seeing your distributors as direct and your direct as diamonds. See it. And then start. Now the angel said, Hail thou mighty man of valor, the Lord is with you. You know what Gideon said? Gideon asked a great question. The great philosophical question of all time. I mean, when you're in theology class and you're studying all that stuff, when you're preparing for the ministry, it was the perfect conversation with God. I mean, he asked the right thing. Accidentally or on purpose, he asked the right thing. Gideon said to God, to this angel, why? That's the question. Why? Gideon said, if God is with me, that's what the angel said. Hail thou mighty man of valor, the Lord is with you. Gideon said, if God is with me, please tell me what it would be like if he wasn't with me. I mean, this is hell down here. This is stuff. Marriage is on the rocks. The kids are on drugs. I don't have a job. The Midianites have ravaged us now for 7 years. We don't have fresh water to drink. This is what it's like if God's with you. It's a good thing he's with us. You know, there's just so much blessing one person can take. This is Gideon. What did God say? You've been dying to have that conversation with God. Gidean had it for you. What is God's answer? Why have you been having these troubles in your marriage? Having this frustration with the business? Why have you been having these problems in your health? Why do orphans starve in Calcutta? Why do people die of cancer if there's a God? Why is there cancer? What is God's answer? This is the conversation again. You're going to hate this. I love it. I like to make people mad. Listen to this. The angel says to Gideon, Hail, thou mighty man of valor, God is with you. Gideon says, if God is with us, why do the Midianites oppress us? And why have they oppressed us for the last 7 years? When are we going to get a break? And what is God's answer? His answer was, go in your power and save your people. Now I want to tell you something about God's answer. It is not an explanation. God didn't explain why they'd gone through 7 years of hell. He didn't explain why their crops were destroyed. And God probably isn't going to answer that question in your lifetime. Why you've had the trouble you've had in your marriage or with your kids or with your health. He isn't going to tell us why orphans starve. He isn't going to tell us why people die of cancer. They're just the answers aren't very satisfactory that we get. Here is his answer to starving orphans. Feed them. Here is his answer to people who are sick. Be healed. Here is his answer to people who are wondering why things have been so bad the last 5 or 6 years. Get off your butt and get out there and change it. Do something. That's his answer. He did not explain to Gideon why they were going through hell. He said, go, save your country. So, you gotta start, you gotta move. And the last step in success is sustain the pace. Sustenance. You want a good word or you want truth? You do? All right. The truth then is the word is sustenance. That's the word, but it's not a good word, but that's the truth. The last S in success is to sustain the pace. You gotta keep going. The Jewish proverb says it is better to finish the thing than it is to start a thing. It's tough to finish. You know why it's tough to finish? Because most people will start something, they'll get it out, they'll look at it, they'll open it up, they'll figure out how it works. They want to see, can I do this? Do I have the ability to do this? Do I have the muscle to do this? They test their muscles, and when they come to the conclusion they can do it, and they know how to do it, they sit down and they watch television. They're content to know that they can. And then they don't do it. Let me tell you something. What you can do won't help people. What you can do isn't going to help your children. What you can do isn't going to help America. It's what you do that will make a difference, not what you can do. Your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather had a lot of ability too, but the reason you don't know his name is because he didn't do anything great. He had ability like you. He could have kept you up hours pontificating on the recent presidential election. He was a smart man too.
Back to the cause regression tape. This is a higher self level meditation tape. It should never be used in a moving automobile, or it is structured to guide you into a meditative level of consciousness. Totally relaxing your body and focusing your mind upon the program content. All right. Now close your eyes. Take a deep breath. In and hold the breath as long as is comfortable. And then let it out slowly, slightly parted lips. And when the breath is all the way out, contract your stomach muscles and push it even further out, and further out. And then repeat the process. And in the future, prior to each level meditation session, I want you to quiet your mind and do 3 minutes of this meditative breathing before you begin this session. And now, slow down your thoughts and begin to relax. If any outside thoughts should come into your mind, simply brush them aside and return your concentration to the sound of my voice. And I want to begin by having you focus your attention upon the psychic center of your body, just above your stomach, and just below the center of your rib cage. This is a primary aquapressure point. And I want you now to raise one hand and with 3 fingers apply gentle but firm pressure here. That's it. Apply the pressure, and as you do, I want you to sense your relaxation increasing. And sense the opening of your perception center. You were just beginning to totally relax, and the feeling spreading over your entire body. As you exhale, feel the relaxing power spread from your center. And your goal is to put your physical body to sleep, while opening your subconscious mind and keeping your conscious mind fully aware of what is transpiring. And you can now stop applying the pressure and turn your arm to your side. And I want you to begin to use your imagination and feel your body relaxing one part at a time as I ask you to do so. The relaxing power spreading down into your stomach and up into your chest. Your stomach just completely relaxing. And the relaxing power spreads slowly down into your hips and into your thighs. Feel your hips and thighs just completely relaxed. as a relaxing power permeates every cell and every atom. And you're letting go. Just completely letting go. Your muscles are completely letting go. And the relaxing power is now spread. Just completely letting go. Your muscles are completely letting go. And the relaxing power is now spreading into your upper leg. Completely relaxing your upper leg. Your upper leg's relaxing. And the relaxing power spread down into your lower leg. Completely relaxing your lower leg. Your lower leg's relaxing. And all of your leg muscles are just completely relaxing and letting go. Feet are relaxing. Relaxing power in your ankles. Relaxing power in your heels and your arches. And in the wall of your feet. And your toes are just completely relaxing now. Your lower body is so relaxed and so at ease. And yet I want it to become even more relaxed. So again, your imagination and feel each part of your body relax as I ask you to do so. And now feel the relaxing power increasing in the toes of both of your feet at the same time. It's moving right on down into the arches, into the heels, and right on up to your ankles. Completely relaxed. And the relaxing power is now moving on up your legs to the knees. Relaxing all the muscles as it goes, and on up your legs to the spine, to your hips. Just completely relaxing. Full attention is on the sound of my voice. As the relaxing power moves into the fingers of both of your hands. Relaxing your hands, and it's now moving on up into your forearms. Relaxing your forearms. And on up into your upper arms. Just completely relaxing your upper arms and your fingers, hands, and forearms, and upper arms. And now, just completely relaxed, and I want you to feel the relaxing power coming into the base of your spine. Use your imagination and create a warmth in the base of your spine, as if a ray of sunlight falling upon the base of your spine. And relaxing power flowing up your spine and in the back of your neck and shoulder muscles. And the back of your neck and shoulder muscles are now loose. And your body is completely letting go, unwinding and letting go, relaxing at ease as a relaxing power moves on up the back of your neck and into your scalp. And your scalp is completely relaxing. And the relaxing power is now draining down into the facial muscles. And your forehead is relaxing. And I want you to become aware of the tiny muscles in your eyelids. And now for just a moment, tighten these muscles in your eyelids. Tighten them. And now relax them. Let all tension out tension out of your eyelid. Experience the total relaxation of your eyelid. And the relaxing power is now draining down into your cheek. And your jaws relax. Allow a little space between your teeth. And your throat is relaxed. Your entire body is now relaxed all over in every way. All tension is gone from your body and mind. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, you become even more relaxed and at ease. And for just a moment, I now want you to check out your own body to perceive if you sense any tension spots. Do this now. Are you whole?
Now, the first time you ever heard Norman Vincent spiel, and you
So do it now. If you have located no additional tension spots, I want you to concentrate upon increasing your overall relaxation. Tension is gone from your body and mind. And I want you to imagine a white light coming down as a beam from above and entering your head. Make this feel with the unlimited power of your mind. This is the universal light of life energy, and it now enters your head and fills your body to overflowing. And the light is now concentrating around your heart area. And it emerges from your heart area to totally surround your body with this white light of protection, balance, and harmony. And as you continue to relax, I am going to count from 1 to 20. With each count, I want you to become more relaxed and to feel yourself becoming lighter. Allow yourself to completely let go and just flow with the experience. Imagine yourself floating at ease. Good. Right now, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Enjoying now in a relaxed, meditative level of consciousness. Breathe deeply. And totally experience this feeling for a few moments. something in your life you desire to know more about. In the memory bank of the subconscious mind, there is a memory of everything that has ever happened to you. Every thought, every action, every deed is recorded in the memory banks of your mind. And we are now going to begin to work together to bring forgotten awarenesses to the surface, so that you may better understand that which influences, restricts, or motivates you in the present. All right. I now want you to concentrate upon the situation you desire to investigate through regression. I want you to dwell upon it. See the situation in your mind. Live it once again as a fantasy, so that you communicate to your subconscious mind that which you desire to investigate. Do it now. Now in just a moment, I'm going to direct you back into your past. Every feeling you have and every effect you experience comes from some definite event that transpired in your past. And you are now going to go backwards in time to perceive that event once again. Now you may go back to an earlier time in your present life. Or you may return to an event that transpired in a previous lifetime. I am going to count backwards from 5 to 1. And as I do, I want you to feel yourself flow backwards in time, letting go of the physical and moving back into your mental memories of another time and another place. All right. Number 5. You're beginning to let go of the present and move backwards in time. Letting go, moving backwards into your past. Allow it to happen. Feel it happening. You're moving backwards into an event that will assist you in understanding your current life. Number 4, letting go and moving backwards into your past. Moving backwards to perceive the cause, which you will do without pain or extreme emotion. You will observe your own past only as an observer. And number 3, letting go now. Letting go and moving backwards into your past. And you're detaching from the physical and letting go. Moving back into your memory. Number 2. Almost there now. On the next count, vivid impressions will begin to come into your mind. Impressions in the form of soft visualization from your past. Impressions that will assist in understanding the cause. You're almost there. Almost there. Number 1. We're now there. Let the impressions begin to form. What do you perceive? What are you doing this time?
Authority. Carefully. I'm going to give this one time. Would you like a pizza speech tonight?
All right now, I want you to let go of this and allow new instructions to come into your mind.
Would you like a pizza speech tonight? Authority. Is guilt. Now the first time you ever heard Norman.
And the things that the information is about, those are the information concepts.
You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. About accounts and so forth. Like in order for a product, just to talk about the concept of order taking in products, we have to have the concepts of what is an order, what is a product. About accounts and so forth. Like in order for, you'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. Have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed.
And the things that the information is about,
You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed. You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed.
Authority.
You'll have to admit that the businesses have changed.
Is guilt. Is guilt.
To
and the things that the information is about,
Carefully. I'm going to give this one time. They're not going to make a tape of this.
about accounts and so forth.
And from other perspective, I want you to begin to believe important information about this incarnation. Your subconscious mind is fully aware of all that transpired, and I want you to believe mental impressions that will assist you in fully understanding all of the portions that transpired during the life. Now let these new impressions come in on the count of 3. Number one. Number two. Number 3.
Carefully. I'm going to give this one time. They're not going to make a tape of this. I wonder why. All right, don't cut into my time, all right? don't cut into my time, all right? All right, don't cut into my time, all right? All right, don't cut into my time, all right?
Is guilt. Now, the first time you ever heard Norman Benson spiel, and you heard him talk about you have to visualize the first time. Now, the first time you ever heard Norman Benson spiel.
I'm now interested in discussion which you may not have acquired. What is the year you now find yourself living within? If the year isn't immediately apparent, listen as the numbers jump into your mind. The first number is. The second number is. Third number. And if there is a fourth number, perceive it now. And you should now have the year. And I'm interested in the country or geographical location. If you don't immediately perceive it, allow the letters, one at a time, to come into your mind. Do this now. And you should now have the names of the country. And I'm interested in your name. Perceive your full name now. I want you to let go of this and come back to the present time. On the count of three, you'll be back in the present, remembering everything that happened in the past life we just examined, but back in the present life, at peace with yourself, the world, and everyone in it. Number one, you are letting go of the past and returning to the present. Number two, you will remain with your eyes closed in a restful, meditative state of consciousness, but back in the present. Number three, you are now back in the present. In a few moments, I'm going to wake you up. But before I do, I'm going to give you a suggestion. And that suggestion is, if the past life caused you to experience was in relationship to a negative situation in your current life, you are going to let go of that negative situation. You absolutely have the power and ability to rise above the past and create any reality you desire to experience. Wisdom erases karma, and you do have the wisdom to understand what it is that you needed to learn, to acknowledge it, and let go of the past and become free in the present. Let this now become your reality. All right. In a moment, I'm going to direct you to return to normal consciousness. On the count of 5, you will open your eyes and be wide awake. You will return to full beta consciousness, feeling completely revitalized and full of energy. Your head will be clear, and you will remember absolutely everything that transpired during this session. Number one, returning. Number two, you are at peace with yourself, the world, and everyone. Number three, I want you to sense an internal balance and harmony. Number four, on the next count, you will open your eyes and be wide awake. Number five, wide awake. Open your eyes and be alert. Number five, wide awake. Wide awake. Take your special one. Playing the recording at a time other than your regular bedtime and becoming full awakening consciousness. Hello. Greetings and welcome. The tape you're about to experience is a very special one. It is a subliminal persuasion recording. Subliminal messages for conscious mind will be unaware of the suggestions to choose, as they will be directed entirely to your subconscious mind. On this recording, music specifically created for its pleasurable effects upon your mind, body, and